Hello, I'm David Cross. For our creative sanatorium on planetary health, I'd like to tell you about an art project that was never realised. It was titled The Secret Garden. The year was 2016, and I was at a difficult point in my career. Since graduating from the Royal College of Art in 1991, I had collaborated with Matthew Cornford as Cornford and Cross. Making critical art projects in public places, we had enjoyed more than our fair share of success. But then came the global financial crisis, followed in Britain by a change of government and a political programme of economic austerity. As funding for the arts was withdrawn, our success faltered until our artistic collaboration was no longer viable, and Matthew and I went our separate ways. One day, I was at home trying to make my living room into a studio when the phone rang. It was someone from an arts commissioning agency asking if I was interested in being considered for a new art commission. The commission themes included art and well-being, ecology and biodiversity, and orientation and legibility. So the themes of the project closely aligned with my long-term interests. The commission was for the new Cambridge Biomedical Campus, which was being developed by the University of Cambridge, the Medical Research Council, and Addenbrooke's, a world-leading research hospital. So the project partners were internationally respected. And then there was the budget. £350,000. I cleared my diary and focused on updating my CV and writing an expression of interest. A few weeks after I sent these in, the commissioners wrote to say that I was one of just 4 artists shortlisted for the commission, and they asked me if I'd like to attend an interview. I took the train from London to Cambridge and cycled through the construction site of the Biomedical Campus to the project office, ready to give my presentation. So here it is. Thank you for inviting me here today. I'd like to tell you about my practice of engaging art in public places. From 1996 to 2014, I worked in artistic collaboration with Matthew Cornford as Cornford and Cross. Today, I'll show you some of our projects that involved people in exploring the different meanings of particular places. Utopia was a site-specific installation curated by Nigel Prince and Gavin Wade. The site was Bourneville near Birmingham, established in the 1880s by George Cadbury, a Quaker who provided high-quality housing, health and recreation facilities for the workers in his chocolate factory. All around Bourneville, the distinctive purple colour reinforces Cadbury's brand identity. This photo from the Cadbury's archive shows the women's recreation ground, which centred on an ornamental pond. By the late 1990s, Cadbury's was an international business preparing to float on the stock market. Sadly, the ornamental pond was considered too expensive to maintain, so it had been drained and was to have been filled in, grassed over and forgotten. We rescued the ornamental pond by clearing it, repairing it and laying new stone paving cut to size. We refilled the pond, installed a new fountain and dyed the water with purple food colouring used to make Turkish Delight and rose creams in the Cadbury's chocolate factory. The next work I'll show is titled Jerusalem. Jerusalem was made for East International, a contemporary art event curated by Linda Morris in the quietly conservative setting of Norwich. This photo is from a greetings card in the gift shop of Norwich Cathedral. The cathedral was begun in the reign of William the Conqueror, with stone brought specially from Caen in Normandy. As a sculptural intervention into this very English scene, we decided to install a figurative statue. I travelled to the quarry in Normandy and had a block of stone cut that would be the plinth for a statue. At the National Rifle Association in Surrey, I went on to the firing range and dug into the sand behind the target butts to gather spent bullets from pistols, rifles and heavy machine guns. We had the bullets melted down to make a lead statue of a boy soldier. On the playing field of an English public school, we installed Jerusalem, a memorial to a war that was yet to happen. The Abolition of Work was the title of a project commissioned for the new Exchange Gallery in Penzance, Cornwall. The Exchange Gallery opened in July 2007 as a centre of cultural activity to lead the economic regeneration of the town. Around Cornwall are many historic relics from the days of mining for tin and copper. The main use of copper is as a conduit for water, electricity and telecommunications. The Exchange Gallery is titled after its former use as a telephone exchange, when the building would have been full of copper cabling to carry telephone calls. Copper and tin have also been historically important as a means of exchange. Today's 1-penny coin was initially minted in 1971 from bronze, an alloy of copper and tin. It's the lowest denomination of currency in the UK. If you saw one on the pavement, you probably wouldn't pick it up. But we asked for our artist's fee and production budget to be combined and delivered to the gallery in 1-penny coins. With a team of helpers, we placed the pennies by hand to cover the gallery floor. We titled the piece The Abolition of Work, after a pamphlet by the anarchist Bob Black, who proposes the complete transformation of society towards a way of life based on play. It Happened Here was the title of a project curated by Anne de Charmont of Meadow Arts at the Commandery in Worcester. The Commandery is the site of the defining battle of the English Civil War in 1651. Oliver Cromwell's victory in the Civil War is celebrated for laying the foundations of Britain's constitutional system, in which the power of the monarchy is limited by Parliament. Yet Cromwell's military campaign in Ireland was brutally unjust. By taking land from Catholic people and suppressing their legitimate resistance, Cromwell began centuries of trouble, pain and grief. Acknowledging this sorry history, It Happened Here offers a fragment of an alternative vision. Matthew travelled to County Derry in Ulster to buy Irish turf. Back at the Commandery, we removed the formal garden in the courtyard and replaced it with the Irish turf. It Happened Here proposes that although landscape and memory are closely bound together, neither the acts of erasure nor the codes of commemoration are fixed for all time. The projects I've shown you so far all resulted in sculptural installations that present concepts in symbolic forms. For the Cambridge Biomedical Campus, I propose a new art project linking technology, human health and the planetary ecosystem. Gregory Bateson, who was born in 1904 in Cambridgeshire and was a Fellow of St John's College, Cambridge, developed systems theory, which recognises that the environment is simultaneously natural, technological and social. Another key element of Bateson's thought is the theory of cybernetic feedback, which connects the different parts of the system so that changes in one part cause changes in the other parts. This diagram of the hydrological cycle spans physical, conceptual and disciplinary boundaries. As a depiction of material reality, this kind of model draws out interesting issues in social systems, such as laws governing the discharge of pollution or the abstraction of water for irrigation. As a metaphor, such a model could help nuance conceptions of territory and maybe even critique the category divisions and linear thinking underlying industrial consumerism. For the Cambridge Biotechnology Campus, I propose a garden as a social space for interaction and collaboration with people from Addenbrooke's Hospital, its research partners and others including the Cambridge University Botanical Gardens. For centuries, physic gardens have been meeting places for botanical and medicinal knowledge. I would invite people to share cultural knowledges about medicinal plants from around the world. Underlying the social and cultural interactions that occur in a garden are the ecological systems operating at every scale. For example, as an actual process that crosses boundaries, pollination could also be a metaphor for creativity and social interaction. Organisms, environments and ecosystems are rich sources of meaning in every culture. Around the world, the honey bee is a symbol of productivity, collaboration and well-being. Scientific research is exploring the remarkable ability of bees to navigate, locating the hive in relation to the sun. Bees also communicate precise information about the direction and distance of food sources through the Waggle Dance. This dance is a prime example of collective intelligence in social animals. And because it locates places on the ground in relation to the sun as it moves across the sky with the rotation of the Earth, the Waggle Dance connects the local to the planetary scale. A key part of my approach to this commission would be to complement the social interactions with a sculptural feature in the garden, a long-term structure to shelter hives of honeybees. This would counterpoint the high-tech architecture and biomedical research with a historical form which connects nature, technology and society, as in Gregory Bateson's systems theory. For hundreds of years, structures like these hive recesses in a garden wall have sheltered bees from wind and rain and absorbed warmth from the sun, which is radiated back to stabilise the microclimate around the hive. As pollinators, bees are of vital ecological importance in preserving biodiversity. And the garden is an immersive environment which engages all the senses and invites physical interaction. By centering on a garden, this project draws inspiration from the first principle in the Constitution of the World Health Organization, which declares that health is a state of complete physical, mental and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So this project would complement an internationally renowned teaching and research hospital in a world-leading centre for biomedical research with a living artwork, a social sculpture at the intersection of nature and culture. When I ended my presentation, there was a warm, positive response from the interview panel. Then I was invited to ask any final questions or make any further comments to the panel. I said that one of the most exciting things about public art projects was that they could bring people together around an aesthetic experience, but also enable critical discussion on matters of vital public importance. There was a moment's hesitation before someone asked, "What kind of matters of vital public importance do you have in mind?" I replied, well, a key question might be, who benefits from biomedical research? One or two of the panel members looked puzzled, the others just looked blank. But the atmosphere in the room had suddenly cooled, and I realised it was time to leave. I wasn't selected for the commission, so I can only imagine how the project might have been developed. Because the Biomedical Campus is reconstructing the relationship between public and private, I wanted that art project to offer a kind of commons. Situated between the hospital and research centres with their ethos of instrumental purpose, the art project might have opened a space for thinking more transversally about the relationships between people, plants and animals. One topic for discussion could have been the differences between honey and sugar. It's common knowledge that honey has many direct benefits for human health and that bees are essential for pollination of food crops and wild plants. Far less well known is just how harmful sugar is to people and planet. While the art project I proposed featured honeybees in a community garden set in a place of learning and treatment for medical health, The surrounding landscape is dominated by industrial agriculture. And a major crop in this is sugar beet, which takes up high-quality farmland that should be used to grow nutritious food. Harvesting sugar beet strips away so much precious topsoil that sugar beet farming should be considered as an extractive industry. Sugar beet cultivation involves the use of herbicides, fungicides and insecticides, including neonicotinoids. Neonicotinoids have been banned in Britain and Europe because research has connected these pesticides to the extermination of bees. Neonicotinoids also harm human health, causing respiratory, cardiovascular and neurological symptoms, genetic damage and birth defects. Yet under pressure from the sugar industry and pesticide manufacturers, governments have repeatedly issued so-called emergency authorization to use neonicotinoids. It's not only sugar production that's harmful. Sugar consumption has a severe impact on human health, increasing the risk of cancer and contributing to cardiovascular disease, obesity and type 2 diabetes. As with so many health impacts, the risks are disproportionately weighted against people of colour. Yet just one company, British Sugar, produces over 1 million tonnes of sugar from UK sugar beet every year. If that was shared out equally by every British adult, it would be 2/3 more than the World Health Organisation's recommended maximum intake. I don't know, really, if I could have made the kind of art that the commissioners wanted. For me, that tiny fragment of land on the Cambridge Biomedical Campus was more than just a place for a sculptural installation. It was a space for relating embodied experience to wider social, economic and ecological systems. But maybe because it was never realised, I still think about it today, in relation to the ideal of planetary health.